To understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
You have failed this city.
So I have this thing with rolls?
Just the end of the world.
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
You're the boy from the circus.
I started up a security firm.
Finally, a superhero team I can actually get behind.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, May 23rd, 2020. I'm Little Eddie O'Hare, aspiring professional fanboy.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 4 new episodes for you this week. I had to approach this like it was a math problem. We have 2 season finales. We have 1 regular episode, and we have 1 series premiere. If the series premiere leaves the train station going 75 miles an hour, and the 2 season finales...
Yeah. We got a brand new show. We got some shows ending on awkward notes.
We have some insane news.
Yes, insane news.
It's been a week.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's not even talking about the Snyder Cut. Like, that's not even including that.
Yes. Yeah, Sarah, do you have thought... So HBO Max is coming in, like, a few days after this episode comes up. But next year, sometime in the year 2021, we will get the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
My first thought is it makes me regret paying for HBO Max. Look, I just think it emboldens a certain kind of angry, entitled fan ownership in a way that I don't appreciate as a woman on the internet, if that makes sense. And I already see now release the Abrams cut or whatever of The Last Jedi, or Rise of Skywalker, whichever one gets everybody so, all of them get everybody so mad. They all want alternate cuts. They want alternate cuts for their own purposes, and it's just gross. Let creators create and deal with it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the thing here is, like, that cut exists, and I'm glad it's over now. I'm glad that this is going to come out, and we could stop the madness.
No, it's not going to stop, dude. It's not going to stop. They're going to want cuts for everything now. I mean, okay, the only cut I will allow is the butthole cut of Cats. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That I can get behind. Hey-o! But other than that, I just worry that it opens the floodgates to... Well, but then, I mean, the Superman Donner cut's pretty good, and then Blade Runner has a good... I mean...
Yeah, there are alternate cuts. There are a lot of stuff out there. I just recently watched the producer's cut of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Please tell me about the aesthetic differences between the 2 versions.
Well, they really cooled down the color correction so that it actually looks like a Halloween movie. And not like a souped up 90s Weinstein Dawson's Creek ripoff. They also added in all of the Halloween music instead of all of the, mediocre 90s grunge rock.
You say mediocre, I say the music of my youth, but okay, go off.
Sorry. No. Even for that time, it's mediocre.
Okay.
Yeah, and not as many kills. You could tell, like, there's not as much gore, and it's still, see, like, here's the thing with all of these alternate cuts, it's still a bad movie. The only difference was that, it's a bad movie that kind of makes sense now.
Wait, we're still talking about Halloween 6 and not Justice League, right?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, This is what happened with the ultimate cut of Batman vs Superman. You know, there's all this connective tissue, so like the story kind of makes sense now, but it's still disappointing. So I know that this is going to happen, but you know, I think the fact that it was clamoring for it, and you know, I think people wanted to see Darkseid and to see if they were going to show a Green Lantern show up at the end. Um, how they were going to handle that. I think that, you know, because there were other things, you could tell that movie was meant to be more. You know, that it was meant to be part one of a 2-part saga. So I think there's kind of that.
It landed in a cross section of pop culture commentary that was Captain Marvel is terrible, release the Snyder Cut, SJW bullshit. Oh, sorry. We don't have to go down this track if we don't want to. But I feel like it's a lot of those same voices that sort of call for all of those things at once, and that kind of stuff just makes me Homer Simpson into the bushes, because it's so toxic and hard to exist in that space and talk about these things online with any kind of calm and rationality. If I say I didn't like Justice League, well, I suppose you like Captain Marvel then. Well, yes I did, but that's not got anything to do with the problems I had, and the Snyder Cut's probably not going to help, but let's see, we can find out. That's fine.
See, I see those as two separate things. You know, I don't see that so much as woman hating. I think that so much as why can't we have nice things too?
That's part of it too. And I also wonder if it has to do with which of us are making the comments.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of pushback I get on things versus the kind of pushback you get on things online. But what I didn't mean for this to get quite as heavy as it did.
It's okay. This is why I don't make comments online.
Honestly, and it's why I don't much. I steer clear of some of these things, but sometimes you just can't help it. I don't know. I was disappointed in Justice League. If the Snyder Cut is better, great. I don't know that it's going to be, though, but maybe. I guess we'll find out in 2021. Lucky us. In the meantime, we got our Friends reruns. So.
Yeah. I was very disappointed. I would like to see an alternate cut made by the man, you know, that is supposed to have all of the elements that disappointed me with Batman vs Superman. So I don't really see how this is a good thing, but I'm glad that they finally made the decision to do it so that we can all move on with our lives.
That's true. Maybe it'll get people to shut up. And maybe this also comes from I have lingering affection for Joss Whedon, so maybe I also kind of feel like anything he did probably made it better, if that was possible. And he was working within the Snyder framework, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, but there's a time crunch and, you know, actor availability and that goddamn mustache.
That I cannot get over the way they made Henry Cavill look like Agent Smith from The Matrix. It bothers me every time I see a still. It's so I need to go watch The Witcher again just to get that out of my head.
Yeah, although I just watched Mission Impossible Fallout again last night. And I have to admit, like I'm thankful that he had the mustache in that movie. So I'm really kind of torn.
Well, now I have to go watch the gif of him reloading his arms 80 times.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, why you gotta make Superman so angsty? He's Superman. I know.
Yeah, I know. He didn't understand the character. Few people do. But we still have Christopher. We can watch Christopher Reeve whenever we want.
We have Brandon Routh.
Mm-hmm.
We have the CW Supermen, which so far seem pretty good. I will say this all last night took me down a rabbit hole to a clip of a comedian heckling somebody in the crowd, asking for his name, and the guy says, "My name is Zach," and he says, "Oh, that's cool, Zach. What do you do?" And he says, "I'm a director." And he's like, "Oh, did you direct anything I know?" And he was like, "I don't know. I'm Zack Snyder, man." And it was really, he was like, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. What Zack Snyder said was, "How many directors named Zach do you know?" And the comedian says, "Well, I know Zack Snyder." And Zach was like, "Yeah." It was pretty amazing. So that actually gave me 30 seconds of joy in all of this. So that was something.
There we go.
Do you want to talk about DCTV now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just really quick, I just want to thank everyone for listening. Rate and review us if you haven't. That helps people find us. If you want to be extra helpful, we are part of Wicked Theory Studios. They have a Patreon, patreon.com/Wicked Theory. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help us with our overhead. And there's also a bonus podcast there called Ed Bonds with Bill, where Bill Sweeney and I watch James Bond movies together. Our most recent episode was Diamonds Are Forever.
You got a new one coming up soon, though, I imagine, right? I know
Yeah,
you do them
yeah.
once a month, but
we're going to be recording again next week. Which is going to be the last film in the official Eon Bond canon. Before you move on to the apocryphal films.
So do you think Bill is going to like the apocryphal more than...
No.
Oh.
No. No.
Okay, great.
I mean, there's some things you get a kick out of them, but yeah. I'll if you want to hear my thoughts on those, listen to those episodes.
Yeah, fair.
Also, I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. I don't want him to get too down to the dumps that we're gonna have 3 months of those, but that's okay.
Bill, you'll come through the other side stronger.
And Sarah, you were on another podcast recently.
Yes. So the team over at Moving the Needle invited me back for their sins, and we compared The Rock versus Con Air to see. In this case, it wasn't so much which did we like better, but which did we dislike less, I guess. And I definitely have a strong favorite of those two dark horses, and it involves Sean Connery. So, it's always a fun time over there. So if you are interested in hearing us break down some 90s action and sort of talk about what works and what doesn't and why, and we do have some disagreement. There were some differing opinions, and as always, it's handled respectfully and with only a minimum amount of shouting. So, check it out.
Oh, Michael Bay.
Nobody bays harder than Michael Bay.
Oh, all right. You ready to go jump into the recaps?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First up is Batwoman, Season 1 finale. Oh, Mouse. Kate faced off against a severely roided out football player hell-bent on revenge. Mary was worried and skeptical after Kate confessed that she thought Jacob could learn to trust Batwoman. Mouse wanted to leave Gotham, but Alice insisted on staying. Last minute reveal, Alice sewed Bruce Wayne's face onto Tommy and told him to go get her kryptonite.
Okay, I don't even know where to start with this, with everything that happened in the episode and then after the episode. Let me just say, this was a really good finale, right? For a finale that wasn't supposed to be a finale, this was really good.
Yeah, I think it was. I feel like you could tell that it wasn't meant to be a finale just because it was a Freak of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a direct face-off between Kate and Alice. But in terms of like revelations and big paradigm shifts, a lot happened here. I'm going to start off with something that we were talking about last week's episode,
right?
Which is we got Bruce Wayne. We have an actor playing Bruce Wayne on this show.
I didn't think Batwoman could shock me any more than it did with that Bruce Wayne reveal. It did. We'll get to that. But I was just boggled. And the fact that they didn't, I heard not a whiff of this casting, right? You didn't,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Nope.
And we bring you these things, loyal listeners. We would have told you. So that was, they kept it secret. The reveal of that, rarely have I been shocked this season watching TV, and that was great. That was a really great reveal, and it really changes things. And I love that it lets you have your cake, but not really your cake, but you still get to eat it, if that makes sense. So I mean, you have Bruce Wayne, but you don't really have Bruce Wayne, so it's not technically Batman, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you've got him, so you can play in that arena, but you're not treading on actual Bruce Batman stuff. I don't know. I think it's great. It's bold. I love it. I'm so excited.
Yes. Now, Sarah, I'm hoping you did your research because I want to know all about this actor. who they've cast.
Yeah. I did my research. IMDb.com. He wasn't somebody I immediately recognized, which I also think is kind of interesting that they chose somebody kind of not immediately like, oh, that's George Clooney type, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why did I say George Clooney and remind myself of that? Batman incarnation. That's not good. But no, I do. It's Warren Christie is the actor's name, and he's sort of, you know, generic handsome guy. He's been in a lot of stuff: The Village, The Resident, The Exorcist, The Catch. He's literally only in shows that have "the" in the name. I'm kidding. No. Chicago Fire, Alphas, Happy Town. He's been in a lot of things. I have seen him in literally nothing. Like, this is not a guy I've ever encountered in my TV viewing, but his credits are large. So I think if you were a certain kind of TV fan, you probably immediately were like, oh my God, that's Sergeant Mark Cross from Motive. I'm just reading his IMDb now.
Yeah. It looks like he was a regular on Alphas. That was like his big
like genre superhero-y type.
Yeah.
I guess I did watch a couple episodes of Alphas. Maybe I have seen him in something. Well, whatever. But yeah, so I interesting choice to cast somebody with a lot of credits, but not super high profile. But does he look like a good Bruce Wayne to you?
Yeah, I think it's believable, and I check he's 44, so it's like right in that age range that we were talking about. But he's got enough. He's got but he 44, but can pass for 35.
Yeah. If you've lived with Jesus, you can pass for 35. Clean living and lots of sunblock. But yeah, I just props to them for casting a fella who they kept it secret. I often am spoiled by the time I get to these things because I watch them late. I wasn't, so this was just a lot of fun for me, and that's all that matters. It was fun for me. Cool. Also fun. The professor who Alice kills in the very beginning was, of course, John Harwood, who played Byers on the X-Files, one of the lone gunmen, was not in the credits. I had to just look at his face and say, "Oh, that's Byers," and I put it out on Twitter. And sure enough, there were other dorks like me that were like, "Oh my God, the lone gunman!" So, Batwoman, I just delighted me this week.
Yeah.
So can I ask, were we supposed to get Cyborg vibes from the Freak of the Week or no?
No.
I mean,
no. I mean,
football player, his brother was named Titan. Like, I felt like it was no.
Yeah. There's a loose connection. I mean, there's some parallels, but that is not meant to be Vic Stone.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought Titan was an interesting villain.
Sad. They've really done a nice job. I feel like the guy who was convicted of killing Luke's dad, and then this character as well, they really have some sympathetic people right before they're gunned down. I don't know, Batman once used to do that a lot.
Yeah, and also kind of, you can see the motivation where, like, Kate actually wants to try to save this person, and Jacob's like, nope, he's an animal, we got to take him out. And
that leads to great emotional conflict where she worries that Jacob is going to hate her the way he hates Alice, and I thought that was really powerful too.
Yeah, and once again, I think Mary was right in this situation to be worried.
Yeah, well, Mary's usually right.
Yeah. Alice really on a tear. Alice killing Mouse. I did not see that coming.
Actually, I kind of did. With the episode title "Oh Mouse" and things like that, I don't know, it felt a little inevitable to me, I guess. It was upsetting. It was really hard to watch, but that one actually didn't catch me quite as by surprise. Is that death going to take? I know that sounds silly. I mean, he seems really dead, but are there going to be hijinks to bring him back? Is this that kind of show, or is Mouse gone?
I would say Mouse is gone. To me, like, the hammer dropping is when Alice realizes what she's done.
Okay, yeah.
When she realizes she can't get Mouse back.
Yeah.
And that she's gone too far. That's what I'm looking forward to in season 2. Is her coming to terms and having to rot what she's sown.
Yeah, this hit a lot of emotional beats for something that has all those ridiculous high octane twists and things. There were a lot of moments like that were really hard to watch because of the choices and the characters in the moment and the characters I think dealing with it down the road. Just really well done. I also super love Jacob going all Papa Bear protective on Mary. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
He's been a hard character this season. It's hard to warm up to him. So it was nice to see him being a dad, I guess.
Yeah, and also I was really proud of Mary for standing up to him. And we really haven't seen those two characters interact that much this season at all. So
yeah, and maybe that's why I liked it so much, because it was a little unexpected and overdue, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah. All right. Is there any I mean, actually no, there's some huge news for Batwoman.
No, there's no news. We can move on to the next show.
No. Come on,
Okay.
Sarah.
So, Edward, I am just going about my day, and I get a text from friend of the show, Tanya Melendez, saying, oh my God, have you seen this? And it is the news that Ruby Rose is leaving the show.
Yeah.
So that happened. That I rarely do news stories that we report leave me open-mouthed in shock staring at my computer screen, but that one really did. So yeah, Ruby Rose is exiting the show after season 1. They are going to recast Batwoman. They're going to look for another actress in the LGBTQ community. There isn't a lot of indication right now about how that's going to be worked narratively. Of course, in the days since that announcement, there have been some follow-up stories, because the question everybody wanted to know after that initial very low information news story is, why the heck? And
yeah,
I don't know, the story that slowly has come out is that Ruby Rose was not happy with the hours required of leading an action-centric network TV show, which I'm sure somewhere Stephen Amell is like, I warned ya. But and so it made she was not happy with the situation, and it made things on set tense. And so when she went to the producers and said, I would like out of my presumably multi-season contract, the producer said, okay. So that, if you read between the lines, I think can tell you some things.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. And, I mean, also all the stuff that's happened on production, and she's saying that her injuries weren't related, but, almost getting paralyzed.
And a stunt woman who actually was paralyzed.
Yeah. Actually, that was a PA. Remember, that wasn't even a stunt
that's right.
person.
It wasn't even a stunt woman. That's right. Which is
so
worse. I mean, it's all bad.
Yeah, it seems something is going on that set. So this is distressing news. It's sad, but based on kind of the vibes, I'm actually kind of not surprised that this happened. And also Ruby Rose is someone who'd done some supporting parts in TV, but mainly supporting parts in action movies. And leading a series is a really tough haul.
Yeah.
Especially because if you're number one on the call sheet on this kind of show, you're pretty much in every scene. So,
and I was actually a little sympathetic. Honestly, if that is more than you expected, I think you can tell yourself it's going to be a lot of work. And I think the level of work that comes with being, as you say, top of the sheet, it's so much. I see a lot of pushback on social media, like she knew what she was getting. She's spoiled, blah, blah. Maybe, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of your life, and also you're in Canada, and I mean, like, there's a lot that goes into it. So I'm certainly not exonerating her, but Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it, it really puts, it really makes you appreciate actors like Grant Gustin and Melissa Benoist.
Well, and
And
Stephen Amell, like I
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah. That have, I've seen people on Twitter talking about rumors of who's going to take over. Someone was suggesting some actors who I'm not sure if they fit um the criteria. Like someone was saying, one of our listeners was tweeting out that they suggested, I think, Kat McNamara from Canaries.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know if she's uh LGBT, because it seemed like they wanted to go in that direction.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw some speculation too. I know Stephanie Beatriz on Twitter was immediately like, "Oh, hello," and that of course is Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She would be super fun, I imagine, but she also works on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I'm not sure how really what it is. One name I saw that was kind of interesting is the actress Bex Taylor Klaus, who was Sin in Arrow in season 2. Ed, do you remember her?
Yeah, yeah.
She's a name I saw bandied around. She's already in the Arrowverse. She has kind of a similar edgy, almost kind of sort of androgynous vibe. She would be really interesting. The show is going to do what the show's going to do, and obviously it's too soon to start speculating. But there's some interesting options out there. I'm much more interested though in, do you have Barry break the timeline so the new Batwoman was always Batwoman? Or do you have somebody inherit the mantle?
Oh, no, I think it's going to be Kate Kane. I think, I think it's got to be Kate Kane. And I feel like this is kind of a thing that happens that's more recent. Like in the last 20-30 years, we've been like, if an actor leaves, it has to be a completely different character that replaces him. I mean, I think this could kind of be more of like a Dick York, Dick Sargent situation, for all those Bewitched fans out there. There's um, where you could just have someone take over the role. I mean, probably, in DC, on the Superboy TV show, John Hames Newton um, also left that show after season 1, and that was less mutual decision. Evidently, he got a DUI, and the producers used that as an excuse to fire him because they thought he was a jerk. And then we ended up with Gerard Christopher, who is amazing the seasons 2, 3, and 4 of that show. Um, and
So
uh,
you're thinking just replace her with no mention that, oh, this is a new actress, just new
yeah,
actress, and we just say, oh,
yeah,
hey, Kate's back.
yeah. I mean, it could be like Don Cheadle in Iron Man. When he replaced Terrence Howard. It's, I even think in that movie he just walks up to Tony and says, "I'm here, deal with it." You know,
Yeah, so
I
I will be curious to see, do they narratize that with hijinks, or do they wink to the audience with, the Beckys on Roseanne or whatever. I don't know. I am still, my mind is still blown by all
yeah.
of this. And I really liked Ruby Rose in this role. I don't think I've said enough about that in this segment, but I like what she brought to it. I thought she had a kind of remote, reserved, kind of laid back sneer cool, and I really enjoyed that. And so I'm sad that she's gone, but I hope she's good with it, and I hope that allows her to, be happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's, I'll say, yee, Ruby Rose.
We hardly knew ye.
Mhm. All right.
All right.
Was there any other news for
Oh,
Batwoman?
just one tiny little thing, which is that the picture frame where they were keeping the little sliver of kryptonite where Kate was supposed to have a picture of Kate and Kara. showing their friendship, and they were going to actually get the two actresses together to take a picture, but then the lockdown happened and you couldn't get them in the same room, and so they had to go with something else, and apparently Photoshop doesn't exist in Canada, so that the lockdown kept them from getting a cute friendship K&K picture. So darn.
All right. Wow. We spent 18 minutes on Batwoman.
Listen, it was it was big news. Okay, we can go fast.
We got a haul ass. All right.
We don't have much news. We're good. We're good.
Okay. Moving on to Supergirl. Season 5 finale. Immortal Combat. As Obsidian North's Unity Festival began to draw in 2 billion lens users, Kara had to sit out while the Tower Heroes faced off against 3 kryptonite-wielding earthbenders. Brainy finally decided to defy Lex and pursue a suicide mission against Leviathan. Kara and Lana spent the whole episode talking but not talking about the bad blood between them. Last-minute reveal, Lex handed the bottled earthbenders to Lillian.
But Moody and Hedwig died was the highlight of the episode for me, honestly. Well, this was a finale, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. This is, I would say, of the like faux finales that we've had so far, this one, I feel like I didn't really get the finale sense in here.
Yeah. This one,
this one seemed again, the most patched together, I would say.
I understand that the Alex scenes were not done shooting, so that's why we had a little bit of weirdness with those fights, and obviously the Lex storyline, everything is more cliffhangery than I think they would have left things ever if they'd had the choice. All things considered, I think they did pretty well pulling it together, and I'm so glad for me, the highlight of this episode and the highlight of this whole season has been Lena and Kara working through all of those betrayals and emotions and finding a better place by the end. And so I'm really glad we got that resolved. That is the resolution I needed. And if we're going to have Luthor cliffhangers, I'm glad it's Lex and Lillian. And that the Lena standing between Akrata, Andrea, and Supergirl there at the end was fabulous. I mean, I don't care about the rest of the stuff, honestly. That was so good.
It was good. My only quibble, and this is, again, because it's not a real finale, is that you have a finale and there's a big fight going on and Supergirl is on the sidelines.
Yeah. That's
disappointing.
I'm sorry. She was in virtual space talking down billions of people. That was important. That was so silly. I love this show that you're like, oh God, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But the emotion of it is so much better than the logic of it that I just forgive it. I mean, that's always how I work with Supergirl. So yet again, this is a show where I was like, this is real dumb, but I also feel things in my chest. So, okay.
Yeah. Also, like the big bad that the heroes are fighting, man, Mitch Pileggi worked his heart out. He
sneered so much.
He left it all on the floor. All right. I mean, I would say, in terms of doing the most with the least, I think that award has to go to Mitch Pileggi for this episode.
Well, speaking of doing the most with the least, dang, Gemma had a boobtastic outfit there, so she did a lot with the least too. Know what I'm saying?
Hey, man.
So, question: do you need to know who she reports to in the Leviathan hierarchy, or do you want that to be forgotten by next season and we just pretend like it never happened?
I don't know who she report to. What's this Leviathan? What are we getting at? You know, is this going to be some way to Darkseid and the New Gods? Probably not. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to see that. Um, what's weird is like it seems like Lex and Supergirl are actually both going both have the same goal. Yet they're still on opposite sides. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Because Lex hates Kryptonians.
yeah. I think the person I really feel bad for in this episode is Brainy.
I love that when his back is against the wall, what's Brainy gonna do? He's gonna bottle.
Yeah. Bring in the bottle. Doing that green skin. That thing must have taken forever to apply. That is a
And
thick
yet-
layer of makeup.
And yet it's so much better than that corpse blue.
Yes.
So as you recall, I recap Supergirl for EW.com, and my watch has ended until, I don't know, mid 2021 apparently on that, which is sad, but okay. And in my comment or my recap, I mentioned, Brainy puts on the green and the blonde and blah blah blah, and of course I got one commenter. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I said that he had white hair and green skin, and I got a commenter like, "Excuse me. In his true form, he is blonde. The white was inhibitors." And I was just like, "Oh, all right, okay, yeah." Thanks.
It's golden, Sarah.
So I apologize to everybody for misidentifying his hair color. I love the green look though. I'm glad we got to see it one more time before the season ended. I don't understand why he had to stand there with his hand on a panel for 10 minutes, but okay. Sure. Sure. Why not? And actually, I really thought it led to some good stuff with McGann and Dreamer. That we were able to slow down the episode enough to have a little bit of a trust yourself, trust your emotions kind of thing. I think they've used McGann pretty well for somebody who came back kind of randomly. So.
Yeah, and I guess I was wrong. I guess she's not an imposter.
Or else she's playing a real long game.
Yeah. I still think that there's something else where John's brother probably might have hypnotized her or something to get her off that planet. I feel like there's something else going on there. But
and maybe maybe it got glossed in the rush to the finale, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But everyone did get their moment in this episode, which was nice.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So I did enjoy John channeling Kara in the voice, and even William had a nice little moment with the wound cauterization. Like, I immediately regret this. That was funny. Andrea had a little bit of a redemption arc, although she's still a crime against journalism, so I don't forgive her. It was good stuff.
All right. And is there anything more to talk about this episode, or?
I feel really bad. I feel like we just spent like 3 minutes on it, but no, not really.
Okay, and no news for Supergirl, right?
No, just that it's we've got Melissa Benoist is going to have a baby at some point, yay, and then it's just not going to be back forever and ever. So we'll see it when we see it.
All right, on to our new show for this week, Stargirl series premiere. 10 years ago, Pat Dugan, aka Stripesy, promised a dying Starman to find someone graceful and heroic to take the cosmic staff. In the present, Courtney Whitmore reluctantly moved with her family to Blue Valley, Nebraska, and discovered her stepdad, Pat, had a secret. Last minute reveal, Courtney escaped Brainwave and ran into a giant robot with Pat at the helm.
Oh, Ed, I don't really know where to start here. Courtney's hair is great. I have severe envy of that teenage child's hair. Let's start with that. What did you think? You say some things because you have more of a connection with this material than I do.
Okay. I really loved all of the flashback stuff. To see the JSA in action, even if they're getting demolished. I thought they got the fact that like those are all comic accurate costumes except for Starman, which I'll get to later. But to see those versions, that's like actually the first like real good live action version of Grundy, even though I know it's CG. But to see like Solomon Grundy like really be that monster that he is, because he's almost like a Hulk figure. Um, and all of that whole first scene I thought was perfect. Was really set it up nicely. I thought McHale and Wilson had some funny chemistry. Um, really, Luke
I
Wilson's
felt like it was
devotion.
weirdly funny. I felt like it was out of place funny, but continue.
Yeah, but that's just Joel McHale's comedy.
Yeah.
That's that kind of awkward sensibility that he brings to it. Um, uh, um, as far as the main show, I think I was telling you this off air, Sarah. This has a real like late '90s, early aughts Disney Channel vibe to it. Like I could see this fitting right in with like even Stevens and the famous Jet Jackson.
It
And
would have.
that
I feel like Miley Cyrus would have been in the running for Courtney 15
yeah.
years ago. Like it's
Mhm.
that kind of vibe. And
Mhm.
that's funny because my first comment in my notes on this during that JSA battle is it feels a lot like Disney's Haunted Castle, like with the green, badly animated, ghosty type things. It was not the strongest start for the show for me because it was very Disney-ish. But I will say the effects, the money they spend on making these shows look good is clear, I think, on the screen. I thought it looks beautifully produced. I lived in Nebraska and it's not like that. So if we don't get a reveal that whole town is brainwashed at some point, I don't even know what, because that's weird. Like I lived in a town that size and it's not no. The high school was bananas. What?
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is also, and I think we should also mention here, that full spoilers, and we should mention that we've both watched this on DC Universe, and the DC Universe cut of this episode at least has about 8 minutes worth of footage that was not shown aired on the CW. Because
Now,
they had to
do
cut that for time.
you know what? I know one scene that was cut was the detention scene. Do you know what else was removed?
Yeah, so from what I could tell, most of the stuff that was taken out, there's a scene, the first night that they get to Blue Valley, where you see Pat kind of opening up the crate and looking through the files of the Injustice League members, of the Injustice Society members. And then all of the interaction between Courtney and Cindy at the high school, there's a whole scene where she's in the hallway and she's basically your typical plastic bad guy high school girl, kind of making fun of Courtney and showing her up. And yeah, and Courtney gets detention. And that detention scene, where you see more of Lou Ferrigno Jr. So
I think you mean Christian Slater from Heathers.
Yeah.
Wait, that was Lou Ferrigno Jr.? I saw his name in the credits, but I didn't put together who he was. Amazing.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, and that's the same guy at the table who stormed off and was like, yeah. I'm not your friend.
Yeah, so what's less likely? Somebody practicing his tuba in the hallway or somebody performing magic in the hallway with a deck of cards? Answer, neither of them in any recognizable setting. What? So I was really confused about the timeline. The classic car, I feel like, didn't help ground this in any time period. I started doing the math and was like, okay, well, I think probably when this comic came out was the 90s-ish, right? Like when Stargirl came around?
Yeah, Stargirl came around like 99 2000, like around that era.
So in theory, you could have had a car and it would have been not that out of place, and then no, it still doesn't work. So I thought maybe they were going to set it in the 90s at first when I saw that car, and I was like, okay, I can maybe make that fit. But then you just have a classic car with no explanation, and then 10 years later, it's today. What? It just made, and then you go to this Nebraska town where everybody is Mayberry nice. It was hard for me to find, to grasp when was this? And
yeah, and I think part of that is also like Stripesy and all of those JSA characters are from the 40s, and Jeff Johns is really into that like 40s nostalgia. So
and
I think
it's pretty. I like looking at it. It was confusing.
yeah, and this is the hard part, in comics, is that time marches on, but when you have those classic characters, and you want to keep them alive, it's harder and harder to buy that, a superhero who was prominent in the 40s, might still be kicking it, 70 years later. And I guess it was a little easier to buy in the 90s than it is now. But
so maybe that pinpoints something that I actually am a little leery of with this show. I worry that it's leaning into the comic nostalgia for people who are excited to see Solomon Grundy like that on screen and are excited to see that classic car because that kind of calls back to the 1940s. And yet it's so Disney. Is the show gonna be entertaining for comic fans who like the Easter eggy, fan servicey, I'm finally seeing this, but on top of that is this weirdly unrealistic high school. I don't know. What audience is it trying to please here?
Okay, I actually think that this does speak to a demographic that I consider myself a part of, where I like all of this big comic book stuff, and I'm kind of a little sick of DC wrapping it in this dark, gritty wrapper.
Cosign.
So I'm, and I love Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol, and a lot of the stuff that they've done with the movies has been hit and miss. But I'm actually really welcoming that tone, and I was always confused, like, if, this was the one thing with DC Universe that really confused me, is all of their demographics are really hitting into that 20s and 30-year-old male. And it didn't seem like there was anything that's trying to gain a female audience or just to get younger viewers. Like even Young Justice, like that's like a heady concept, and that's really something that's more appealing to like teenagers. Or older fans who are more familiar with those characters. And Harley Quinn is a cartoon, but it's definitely for mature audiences.
No, please don't show it to your children.
Yeah, and this is the first original show that DC Universe has put out that I feel like you could show to a 10-year-old girl.
Well, and I wonder is this then a great choice for people who grew up reading JSA type comics and now have their own families and their own kids? Is this a show that they could watch together, which is great? I don't think we have enough of that also, and I think it's great to usher in a new generation of fans that way. So maybe that's a part of it too. I just feel like they looked at Swamp Thing and were like, what is 180 degrees different? Ah, got it. And that's yes.
Yeah. And remember, this is one of those shows that was slated from the beginning. This was one of the 4 shows that they pitched when they first launched the series. So, so I think it's just the fact that it's taken like 2 years to get to this point is the real shame. But I'm glad to see this show. I think it wasn't a perfect start, but pilots are always going to be clunky. I'm interested to see how it shakes out when it gets into the second episode. And I'm positive. I liked all the stuff with the staff. I like that the Cosmic Staff is a character who kind of has its own personality.
I like the gymnastics with it. I thought that was a nice way to bring that in. Courtney trusted it to like jump off buildings really quickly, but okay, she seems to have a big heart, and so she's gonna jump off a building with that staff. That makes sense. But no, I agree. My questions mostly involve Pat. Is he gonna get better at hiding his super secret superhero stuff, Or is he always just going to leave it in the middle of the basement? Number 2, did they move to Nebraska without anybody having any kind of jobs? I guess the mom did, but I feel like Pat was like, oh, I guess I need to have I guess I can. Did you not have a job, sir?
Well, no, he has an auto shop, and you could be a mechanic anywhere, Sarah.
Oh my God. He hadn't rented a space. We saw him renting a space. By the way, do you think that we're going to see that guy who rented him the space and owns the local gym again?
You're talking about Crusher?
Yeah.
First off, the guy who tells you his nickname as he's introduced is always a red flag.
Like in real life too, not just in TV.
Yeah. I feel like the guy who says, "Oh, people call me Crusher." No, I'm sorry, sir. Someone else can introduce you as Crusher, but
you yourself cannot.
Yeah, that doesn't really work. And what's a shame is, Sarah, if you watch along on IMDb like I did, it actually says who all of those characters are going to be.
Yeah, I looked that up and was like, oh, this is a spoiler. Okay, well, fair enough.
That's okay. I mean, we did find out that Henry King Jr.'s dad, Henry Sr., is Brainwave, who seems like is the ringleader of the ISA. So, there's that to look forward to, and he seemed to be a formidable villain. And I think this episode did its job. Is it an A+? No. Is it a perfect effort? No. But I think it's satisfactory, and it gave me enough to be excited for the next episode. And I'm hoping that this show is going to evolve. Yes, and it ended with an Iron Giant robot, and honestly, what more do you want? Yes. And Amy Smart, Luke Wilson, Amy Smart. I mean, come on. I also think Courtney giving Pat crap for going by Stripesy is so mean. Like, you can't go back and fix it. It's a dumb name. And I think it's interesting. I get a sense that we're going to get, I don't know, when he was talking about how great it was to be a sidekick, I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing also. And that's kind of an interesting note to explore. I don't know that we've seen a lot of I'm a happy sidekick. I don't know. So I like me some Luke Wilson, and I'm excited to see what he brings to that kind of beta role. So yeah. Also, I will also mention one of the things that was kind of like bothering me a little bit is that they kept calling Joel McHale Starman, and I do like the fact that they established that he had both the Starman mantle and the Star Spangled Kid mantle. Because originally the character Sylvester Pemberton is Star Spangled Kid, and Starman is a completely different character who in the Golden Age had like a red costume, and there's been like 12 different Starmen, but like the 90s version of him used to have like it was like a black trench coat, a Hawaiian shirt, and sunglasses. But I do think that was a nice little cleanup, but also a way to show that, like, Stripesy was with Sylvester for a long time, and like they had like a whole career that dated back to when he was a teenager. Because that was actually the original kind of hook for that hero, is that instead of a grown-up hero with a kid sidekick, it was a kid hero with a grown-up sidekick. I also fell down a rabbit hole of Courtney dating Billy Batson / Shazam last night. Yes. What? Yeah, that was when Captain Marvel was part of the JSA. That was the storyline where Captain Marvel and Stargirl started dating, and it didn't come out for a while. And Captain Marvel didn't change into Billy for a while. So Stargirl, who I think was in like her late teens, early 20s at the time, went for a whole stretch not knowing that she was dating a 12-year-old. Yeah. Well, no, and then there was another one where she did find out that he was a teenager. Oh yeah, she eventually found out. Yeah. Well, no, there's one where she knew, and that's when they started dating.
when she was more age appropriate and then it looked like an adult was flirting with her. Like there were two incarnations of that from what anyway, this is not what we're here to talk about, but I went down a rabbit hole of the weird Captain Marvel Stargirl romantic history. And so that's what I did last night, in case you wonder how I spend my Fridays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we done here?
Yeah. All right. So this was fun.
Yes. I'm curious to see what the second episode and all subsequent episodes look like.
Yeah. All right. One more episode to do, Sarah. You ready?
Yes.
All right. DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Season 5, Episode 13. I Am Legends. Granted with 24 hours of immortality, the Legends found themselves taking a long trip across zombie-ridden England to reach an old Time Bureau safe house. Zari and Constantine found themselves calling each other out on their own baggage. Gary found himself trapped on the Wave Rider with the turncoat Astra and the evil Fates. Last minute reveal, after watching Gary get slaughtered, Charlie showed her sisters the rings and was ready to work.
Okay, Ed. Things I love. Angry kissing. Zombies. Angry kissing in the middle of zombies. This episode was great.
Yeah. Action-packed. You had a lot going on. All these different storylines. And yeah. So I guess Zari and Constantine are a thing now.
Yes. It was awesome. Well, and it was used really well too. I mean, you had all that tension that's been building up, but also then you had that I trust you to kill me and bring me back so we can safely walk through zombies. So there was a lot of, it wasn't just tension, it was plot driven, emotion driven. Zari trusting him to do that. That I'm sure made John feel things. It had elements for her character too. It was really, really well handled. And I also liked Charlie's knowing little smirk when they came out from the back room, like, Charlie knows what you were doing.
And and this episode, did you notice that like pretty much everyone dies at the end?
Yes, I did. Yes. I kept forgetting they were immortal. Every time somebody got shot, I was like, oh no, oh wait, they're immortal. And then, it works with the zombie thing. Ava especially had very funny physical comedy in this. But by the end there, it really felt like some of those all hope is lost climactic. It's like the end of the Serenity movie, the Firefly spinoff, and things like just to have that like where this is it. This is our last stand. So
it felt like the opening scene of Stargirl.
Yes, it did.
And and is Charlie turned heel? Is she evil now? Is she playing a long game?
She's playing along until she can escape. Come on. Come on.
And Gary died. We saw Gary get slaughtered.
I don't like that. I don't want that. I like that Gary's acting partners were a rabbit and Elizabeth Hurley 2.0.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say on Twitter we did have requests for us to talk about Constantine and Zari, but also to discuss the Gary Gideon relationship.
I mean, it was pretty obvious that he was hallucinating, but it was still really fun, and it gave him. I always like a physical manifestation of a sentient computer. They did it on Doctor Who. They've done it here before. I think that's a lot of fun. So that was great, and it gave him. I love Gary, and that was a nice way to use him. Gary the hero, man.
Yeah. Get his own weird science bit. And I mean, would you watch that spinoff? Would that spinoff be interesting?
No. I don't often say no to spinoffs. That's a great one-off episode, but no.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like the third or fourth actress they've have play Gideon.
Probably.
but
I actually didn't bother to look, but yeah, I imagine so. And I like that we're seeing her the way Gary would want to see her, with the little bow and everything. It was just kind of fun.
And Astra had her turn. Although I'm kind of glad that she actually got her comeuppance and that the fates turned on her.
Well, and she got the reminder that if you bring your mom back, she's still gonna die. So, I thought there was a nice kind of bit of revelation of, okay, this thing I've been wanting is maybe not what I should be wanting, so I'm gonna pivot now.
Yeah. I mean, not like those, like, hopefully 40, 50, 60 years in the middle where, like, you could have fun.
Yeah. I don't know I mean, yeah.
Although I will say, like, we have 3 episodes left this season, and all of the legends are dead, so it's going to be
a weird show if it's just the fates on the ship. That's really a hard turn for this show.
Yeah.
I cannot let this episode pass without mentioning the George Romero zombie that they had in the. That was great.
That guy wasn't even a zombie. Like,
he was just a guy in George Romero glasses just walking through the set.
I could have sworn there was one point where he fixed his glasses.
Zombies have to see too. So here's my question for you. Who is the legend you would pick on your zombie apocalypse survival team?
Mick Rory.
100%, because he's got berserker rage and he's always got fire. Like,
yes.
Nate is great for himself because he can just turn into steel and he'll be fine always. So that's not great to help you. But Mick, he's just going to mow everybody down with fire 100%. Yes. You have chosen.
Mick Rory finds a way.
But yeah, Zari yelling at John not to smoke, and just Ava. We all knew something was up with Sarah. Like, we knew she saw something real bad. I thought Ava was really calm when Sarah was like, oh yeah, no, I die. I don't say anything after that. And Ava didn't react to that in a way I expected. I think it was interesting that Ava kind of shifted to, oh God, okay, so what do we need to do? As opposed to, oh my God, you die? Which I thought was kind of interesting, and it kind of shows her focus is on the team and she's able to put her personal stuff aside. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, I thought this episode worked really well on entertaining levels, on character and emotions levels. And again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, angry kissing and zombies. Like, yes.
Cool. All right. Any news for Legends?
No news. I'm just glad we got a couple more episodes of it before it flies off our screens.
All right, on to all right. So that's all the episodes for this week. Let's do some news for other shows.
Okay, two tiny bits of news. First, The Flash. So you all may have noticed that Daniel Panabaker, aka Caitlin, aka Frost, was written out of the show for a couple episodes coming up because Frost powers, blah blah blah. But it's because she's pregnant and they needed to get her off for delivery and maternity leave. But now, when the show resumes filming, she's going to be back for maternity leave, so they didn't actually need to write her out because she's going to be back for filming because the pandemic pushed everything back. So the question for the Flash people is going to be, do we find a way to bring her back, or do we just give her those episodes off? I just thought it was kind of interesting that they went out of their way to set up this complicated, like, why is Caitlin gone? And then the pandemic made it so, oh, Caitlin is back. What are we going to do with her?
Yeah, no, we were kind of looking forward to those 3 weeks without you. So
yeah, so could you just, like, we already rented out your trailer for those, so if you could just stay home, put your feet up.
Yeah, I mean, we were gonna have a party. I didn't order enough pizza for you, so
we actually are gonna roast you while you're not here, so just stay home. And then the next bit of news, the last bit of news, is for Lucifer. And that is Lucifer showrunner Joe Henderson tweeted the last normal photo on his camera roll, which is the thing people are doing, which makes me kind of emotional to think about. But what he tweeted was a photo that he took on set with Tom Ellis and Lauren German, of Chloe and Lucifer kind of goofing off between takes as they were filming right before production shut down. And what makes this interesting, other than just the whole last normal photo of it all, is that the setting that they're in is so beautiful. It's a lake, it's green, it's lush, there are flowers. It really looks a lot like heaven. So it was kind of interesting that are Chloe and Lucifer filming a scene in heaven for real? Is it a dream sequence? Is it not heaven? Is it just a really pretty part of LA? Who knows? But it really looks beautiful. So that was kind of interesting that Joe Henderson would choose to share that. I assume, for PR purposes as well as, whatever. But also, the showrunners are telling us that we don't have a release date yet, but we will have it soon. That's the word they're using a lot. So I would expect to have some kind of announcement about when we'll see the first half of the new season, well, soon.
Yeah. Let's hope it happens, before the end of the week.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I'd love to see that sometime in the summertime. That would be nice way to break things up.
I almost wonder if they do a surprise drop. I don't know why I think that, but the way they've been saying soon, it just kind of makes me think maybe we're not going to get that much notice, or maybe they'll tell us it's a release date in August. I mean, who knows? But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like usually they give like about 5 weeks lead time.
But these are unprecedented times, sir.
This is true.
I just don't know if they would be more likely to be like, surprise, Lucifer.
Yeah, I mean, if they dropped it like after Legends and one of those weeks where we just have a Stargirl episode before Doom Patrol starts up.
That would be ideal, Netflix. If you could do that for our schedule, that would be great. Thanks.
That would be great. All right. And that's it for the news.
That's it.
So now it's time for our winners of the week.
Ed, it's angry kissing and zombies. Now you go.
That's simple. Okay. I had a theme this week, and it was suicide missions. First on Batwoman, Mouse didn't really realize he was on a suicide mission.
Awkward.
Yeah. When they went to burn that book, Alice, there's going to be a reckoning. On Supergirl, Brainy had his suicide mission to bottle Leviathan. And on Stargirl, Starman going up against the ISA. The whole JSA was actually killed in that. And Legends, Sara going to hold off the zombies to give enough time for Ava and everyone to charge that courier. So I mean, in terms of superheroes, Sarah, this week we lost the Justice Society and the Legends of Tomorrow. I mean,
and Brainy, kinda. I mean, I feel like they're all gonna come back except for maybe the Justice Society, but
yeah. Who knows? So that it was a bit of a downer, but those are my winners for the week.
That's a good one.
Sarah, we did an episode.
We did, and you know what? Even though we talked about Batwoman for like 45 minutes, we're still getting done in pretty good time.
Yes. All right. So that's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Little Eddie O'Hare.
I'm at Sarah Netzley, SaraNetzley.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister show, the Wicked Theory Podcast. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!